Hi, students. I'm going to talk a little bit about your written assignment guidelines. Let's first look at the syllabus so that we can see where we're at in the course. We just did psychobiography last week, and this week we're looking at personality and beliefs. And here at the bottom of week 8 work, is that I am supposed to give you the written assignment guidelines for work that will be due later. It's due at the end of the semester, okay? And how many points is this paper? Let me go to the end. Your final paper is due. Let's see. Is it here somewhere? How many points is this final writing assignment worth? Okay. It's worth 20, okay? Because this is the one written assignment for the final. All right, so let's talk in a little bit of detail about this written assignment. And you'll want to refer to this, you know, as you go through the rest of the course. Now, this is midterm week, of course. And so I'm going to take all your points to this point and then enter your midterm grade. But this written assignment is due at the end of the course, and you can kind of work on it as you do other things in the course and get things completed, okay? All right, it says this written assignment will be due at the end of the semester on that date that's in your tentative course schedule. Um, the topic that this written assignment is based on is from a chapter in your textbook that we will not cover this semester. And that chapter is 13, lucky number 13, the psychology of nationalism, ethnic conflict, and genocide. Okay. Now I want you to scan that chapter, but I want you to focus specifically on the psychology of genocide section of that chapter 13 and understand it, okay? Because this assignment is based on that section of your textbook, okay? Now, what are you going to do for this written assignment? It says, think about a Native Americans, right, in the United States during the colonial period, okay? What I'm talking about when I say colonial period, it would be when the Mayflower came over, right? And that kind of time period of history, okay? We had Native Americans here, and then we had colonizers, people who wanted to, set up communities coming from Europe, right? Um, and they kind of invaded this space that we now live in, okay? So I want you to find a book or a journal article about that period of our history. Now, how do you do that? Let me go to the internet. Let's see. I should have. Yeah, here we go. Okay. I'm going to type in Google Scholar. Okay. So you see Google Scholar here. Now, here's what I want to do. I'm going to type in some keywords: Native Americans, and see, I'll call it genocide during colonial or colonization. That looks good. Okay. All right. So we have some PDFs here. You see that out to the right? Okay. These are free articles that you can pull up, and these can be, used as sources that you can summarize for this paper. Okay. We have genocide of Native Americans, historical facts and historiographic debates, okay? You can click on that PDF and get the PDF, okay? Now don't click on any of these that don't have PDFs, okay? Unless they are books. This is a book, okay? But use any of these sources, all right? Now let's go back to these guidelines again. All right, you're going to find a book or a journal article about that period of our history, and I just showed you how to do that. Now, the reader of your paper, me, right, will want to know a synopsis. of outsiders who came to America to colonize. Okay, what was their situation, their motivation, right? And the insiders who were already in America, and those would be Native Americans, right, before colonization. I want you to write a summary of each of those groups, right? Um, how were they functioning during this period? Okay, so you want to write that synopsis using your source or sources if you want to in two paragraphs. Okay, so one paragraph about the colonizers, the outsiders, one paragraph about the insiders or the Native Americans. Okay, now that's the first part of your paper. The next part, it says you will then set up and answer these questions in your next two paragraphs using the textbook definition of mass killing and genocide. Okay, and ideas from the chapter about genocide. Okay, this is a question you want to answer next in your written assignment. Did colonizers in early America commit genocide against Native Americans? Okay, based on what you read in the textbook concerning the definition of mass killing and genocide. Why did they or did they not commit genocide? Okay, so now you have to explain why they did these things. Okay, what were their motivations? Right, based on your understanding of what genocide is. All right, now what is the psychological theory or framework from your textbook that describes and explains this situation concerning the colonizers and the Native Americans? Okay, this is a very important part. So you want to move through and answer these questions in a logical kind of a way that creates a story, right, in this research paper. Now, the last thing you want to do is write a good conclusion. You're going to tie all the information together in one paragraph at the end of this paper. You want to know how long this paper is? Well, how many sentences are in a paragraph? 3 or more, right? All right, and so I would say you're probably going to have what, 2 paragraphs for number 2, and then you're going to have a paragraph or 2 or 3 to answer the questions in number 3. So that's what, 5 paragraphs already? And then you need a conclusion paragraph, so that's 6 paragraphs in this paper. And each paragraph needs to be 3 or more sentences long. I don't mind if you go beyond that, okay? I'd rather have a student delve into this in some detail and do a really bang-up job versus a student who rushes through this and tries to do the minimum amount of work and leaves out a bunch of information that should have been in the paper in the first place, okay? So, when students ask me, how long does this paper have to be? Well, I would say, at least 6 to 7 paragraphs, but even more, okay? All right, so that's your written assignment guidelines, and I'll see you next week for some new stuff in psychology of global political behavior. Okay, bye-bye.